Hello everybody. Right, we're going to move on to Unit 7 in our Unlock textbook. And what we're going to study in Unit 7, fact versus opinion. This is when you are writing, distinguishing between a fact or an opinion. Multi-word prepositions. And also writing mechanics. Okay, so what you have probably noticed is that I am trying to post 2 lessons per week. Okay, so that's generally the way that this is going for us. It's going to be 2 classes per week, and so this is the second one for this week. Okay, here we go. Now, we don't have enough time to study everything in the book, but it would be useful for you to also do a little bit of self-study. So, reading and vocabulary, page 150 to 156. And if you have the time and the desire, you could have a go at doing those pages by yourself. Mostly, it's reading an article and answering the questions, and there is a vocabulary, and there is also some grammar and reading and writing questions. But we are going to start this class from page 157. So, page 157. Deciding between fact and opinion. Okay, so this is the page in the book. I'm just going to read the box at the top there. Distinguishing fact from opinion. When you read a text, you need to be able to decide which points are facts and which points are opinions. A fact is a true statement which you can prove by looking at something or by doing research. An opinion usually expresses a person's idea, judgment, or position. In fact, speakers and writers often use facts and reasons to support their opinions and make them sound convincing. Okay, so this is going to be very important for you guys when you start doing your academic writing, because you want to support your opinion with evidence. And we've already studied some of this, supporting details, and you can use examples, facts, statistics, and those would usually fall into the factual evidence. You can use personal experience, and that would probably be more on the opinion side. So let's have a quick look here at the next part, number 6. Look at the sentences from reading 2 below and tick whether they are facts or the writer's opinion. So number 1. This is from one of the articles that I just showed you that you could read yourself. In fact, I suggest that you do read that article. Okay, so number 1. The European Union imported almost 29 billion euros worth of clothing in 2015. Right, so is that a fact or is that an opinion? The answer is fact. Okay, that is something that you could prove. You could go on the internet, you could go somewhere and find that information. It's a fact. Number 2. Supporters of outsourcing claim that it helps local economies. But I believe it is harmful for 2 main reasons. Right, so the obvious part there is I believe. So that's obviously saying that it's my opinion. Okay, so that would be the writer's opinion. Number 3, most workers are paid by the piece. This means that they might earn only a few cents for making a dress, which sells for hundreds of euros in Europe. Okay, so what do you think? Is it a fact or is it an opinion? Piecework, we call this, piecework, when you get paid for how many pieces that you make. This is a fact. It's easily proven. Okay, now number 4 and 5. Number 4, worker protection laws like those in developed nations often don't exist or are not followed. Now 4 and 5 can be a little bit tricky to decide, are they a fact or are they an opinion? Number 4, worker protection laws. So it's a law. Now a law is written down, so you can see if the law is being carried out or not. Worker protection laws like those in developed nations often don't exist or are not followed. This can be proven, so we can say that this is a fact. Now what about number 5? Working conditions in many offshore factories remain uncomfortable and unsafe. Now that one is not a law, so it's harder to prove. Working conditions are uncomfortable. Well, maybe it's uncomfortable for me, but is it uncomfortable for everybody? That's slightly harder to prove. So this one, I think we have to put in the opinion, because it's not so easy to prove. You could prove it with evidence and photos maybe, but just this statement is not strong enough. Number 6, although supporters of outsourcing provide a number of convincing arguments, in my opinion, these do not justify the low wages and dangerous conditions found in many overseas factories. Again, it's quite obvious, in my opinion. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. I would just say number 5 could easily be a fact, but I think you would just have to give a little bit more evidence. The way that sentence is, it's not quite strong enough for me. But sometimes you can use your factual evidence to change an opinion into a fact. Okay, so let's keep going now. Multi-word prepositions, page 161. Right, grammar for writing, multi-word prepositions. Some prepositions contain more than one word. These multi-word prepositions can be used to combine two pieces of information. In the following example, the 2 points are connected by the multi-word preposition rather than. So here's the sentence. Critics of outsourcing claim that children should be in full-time education rather than working in a factory. Right, now what does rather than mean? If you just see there underneath, we've got 6 words in bold text. If you see the top one on the right, preference, we have 2 multi-word prepositions, rather than and instead of. So you use rather than when you're talking about something that you prefer. And in this case, critics of outsourcing claim that children should be in full-time education rather than working in a factory. So critics prefer children to be at school, not working in a factory. That is preference. Rather than. So let's think of another example. I like to play football rather than baseball on the weekends. So that's just my preference. Okay, so let's have a look. Common multi-word prepositions and their meanings include. For reasons, you can use because of, which we studied in the last lesson. Due to, as a result of. Those are all used when you're trying to give a reason for something. Due to the coronavirus, we are studying online. As a result of the coronavirus, we are studying online. Okay, so preference, we just talked about that, rather than, instead of. Exception, except for, other than, apart from. So this is when you want to talk about there is a pattern, but then there is one thing that doesn't follow the pattern. And you can use except for. So for example, I teach classes every day of the week except for Sunday. So the pattern is every day of the week. Sunday is the one difference. You can use except for, other than, apart from. Contrast, in spite of. In spite of the rainy weather, we are going to play football. I use football a lot in my examples, you can notice. So that is when you are contrasting two things. Addition, so that means when you're adding something, in addition to, along with. In addition to studying the textbook, we will also be studying some worksheets in addition. And then choice, you can use instead of. Instead of going to the Hangang River this week, I will be exercising at home. That is a choice. Right, what you can do now is have a go at doing the questions underneath that box there in your book, part 1 and part 2. And I'm going to introduce the next homework assignment, homework assignment 3. And this will practice multi-word prepositions and fact versus opinion. The deadline is March 31st, so a little bit less time for this one, so I suggest do it quickly, do it over the weekend. And please remember, everybody, that you need to put your class day and time in the email. I know it's a lot of information, but I've had to tell quite a few students, so I've had to remind students. Please give me your class day and time, because I need to separate your work into different folders, and this will really help me. Okay, so like usual, on Smart Campus, you will have the link to this video, and I will also send you the homework worksheet, and it's going to be 1 page, which you can see now. Okay, there's one more slide to look at. Now then, writing mechanics. Right, now this is really important. I'm going to give you the link to a video, and this video is really long. It's 45 minutes, so I think it's too long to just study in one time. So have a look at my suggestions there. Watch the video slowly and stop it often. There's a lot of information in this video, so I suggest just watch it for a short part. It's actually broken up into different chapters. Watch some, stop, and try to make sure that you understand the point. So watch the video slowly and stop it often. Do the various exercises within the video. Repeatedly view the video, so that means don't just watch it once, watch it several times, and you can use this as a reference. Now the rules in this video will be used when we are grading your essays for the writing part of the course. And the writing segment is 20% of your grade, so it's quite big. And we will review some of these points later in the course. Okay, so one more thing to say. This video was made by 2 of my co-workers. You can see there, Robert and Barney. Okay, so the voices on the video are not mine. Those are Barney's and Robert's. They're co-workers, so they're also working at Sungshil. And this video is really, really helpful to show you common mistakes that we see, especially in formal and academic writing. Okay, so I will be sharing with you the link to this video, the homework assignment 3, and a link to the writing mechanics video. And that is what you guys can be doing over the weekend until we look at the next lesson, which I will be posting next week. Okay, thank you very much.